You have seen the Pythagorean theorem before. We've used it before, but it was foggy enough that we're going to stop today and do a couple of problems on the Pythagorean theorem because we are really going to need it on our next circle section that we do. So we can't do secants and tangents unless we're good at the Pythagorean theorem. So I know it's Friday. Your homework load will be friendly. But let's remember how to use the Pythagorean theorem, all right? We got our phone out, sir? Got your phone out?
Well, yes, I do have my phone.
Thank you for putting it away. Okay, the first thing we need to know is that the Pythagorean theorem only works on right triangles. It has to have a right angle or you cannot do the Pythagorean theorem. So in this case, I see this guy. Now, whatever is directly opposite of that 90-degree angle is your hypotenuse. If we can't identify the hypotenuse, we can't do the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so that's pretty key. And the hypotenuse is always your longest side. So if they give you measurements, the hypotenuse is always the longest. And then this guy is just a side. And this guy, well, let's call it a leg. This guy is a leg. A and B. But it doesn't matter which one you call and which one you call. Did I say A or B? It doesn't matter which one's A and it doesn't matter which one's B.
It doesn't matter which one you call.
And then I stopped and I got lost. All right. So you've seen this guy before, right here. A is either leg. Doesn't matter. That's what I was saying. B would be the other leg that you didn't choose already. And C has to be the hypotenuse. So leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. And I kind of like this visual right here. It shows you why it works. Well, no, it's kind of clever. We're not even going to do the math there, but well, let's do the math there. How many squares are right here without counting them, if it's a 4 by 4?
16.
All right, how many squares are right here?
9.
So if a squared plus b squared, what do we anticipate right here? 16 plus 9 is 25. 5 by 5 is 25. So that works every time in the Pythagorean theorem, okay?
Oh.
So let's do just a couple of problems. I want to do this one, I guess. A right isosceles triangle. What does isosceles mean?
2 sides are the same.
2 sides are the same. So there's my right isosceles, and each of the legs are 6 meters long. And so it wants to know the length of the hypotenuse. So just remember, leg squared plus leg squared equals c squared, right?
It would be 36 plus 36.
36 plus 36, yep.
37.
Plus 36 equals c squared. 72 equals c squared, since you did the math for me. How do I get rid of the square?
Square root.
Square root both sides. Now, if it's not going to let me use my calculator to get a decimal, I've got to break it down like this. All right, so there is a 3 and a 3 and a 2 and a 2.
6 over
3 times 2 is 6. Square root of 2. Okay, let's do one more. This time it wants to know a leg, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to choose which one. Well, let's identify our hypotenuse first. So the hypotenuse is always the one across from our 90-degree angle. So just label it C so you don't even have to think about it anymore. And then pick a leg. I don't care which one. Which one do you want? Pick one. Bottom one. I heard bottom first, so let's call it A because we said it first. And that means the other leg is going to be B. Now we're going to substitute everything in. A squared, which is 8, plus B squared, which is X, equals C squared, which is 13 squared. What's 8 squared? 64 plus X squared equals 13 squared.
167?
169. You were close.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to solve for X, so that means we're going to move 64. I'm going to bring it up here. X squared equals what? 105? How about we get a decimal answer this time, just to shake it up? Square root both. It's 10 point something or other. I'm not sure what.
10.25.
10.25?
Yeah.
Thanks. Whoops. Last kind of problem that you're going to see out of your 5 problems today is, let me read this, 8, 10, and 16. Do the side length 8, 10, and 16 make a right triangle? I don't know. Which number is the biggest?
16.
So what did I say about the hypotenuse? That it's the biggest, right? So we're seeing if this is a right triangle. So this would be C. I'm going to call this A just because it's first and it's B. So if A squared plus B squared does equal C squared, it's a right triangle. If it doesn't, it's not. So I'm going to say 64 plus 100. I don't know what 16 squared is. 164? Hey, does 164 equal 164? That is a true statement, isn't it? So do these 3 triangle side lengths make a right triangle? Yes. All right.
16 squared is 164.
What is it?
256.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Who was telling me it was that? Let's see, where were we? So this was 16 squared, right? 16 squared is 200 and what?
56.
All right, so I have 164 on the left side. I have 256 on the right side. That's not true. So do these 3 side lengths make a right triangle? No. So obviously we need to do our math right? But that's a pretty straightforward problem. If the two smaller sides squared equal the longer length squared, it's a right triangle. So let's get our homework done. And then we can use it on circles next week.